Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Creatures of the Realm. Tonight, we have open talk. Anything goes, anything you want to talk about, we'll go into it. Monster wise, role playing wise, in the role playing world. With that being said, before we actually continue, let's talk. Let's talk about what is the main core of role playing. What is a core of role playing? But before I forget, tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central, we have episode 17 of Vampire the Dark Ages, and it's going to be a great time. We're going to look at a lot of strengths and a lot of weaknesses in the outcome of things that are going to happen story-wise and so forth. So it's going to be a great old time. That being said, let me make a mic adjustment. All right. Hopefully that's better. Tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central, join us, please. It's a good old time for Vampire the Dark Ages ongoing campaign. And Campaign 4, Cyberpunk Red, is coming to Playerole. A new story in Night City, a very strong, viewer discretion is advised campaign coming soon. So stay with us on that. Without further ado, again, tonight's episode, open talk. I'm going to talk about anything, but I got to tell you, a buddy of mine, he is DMing for the first time. And this is all part of open talk anyway, so he is going to DM his first game in a month, or maybe a couple weeks. I don't remember exactly, either next month or middle of next month or whatever. He's going to DM his first game. And he asked me for your advice, and he asked our group, certain people in our group, for advice as well. And he got some really good advice. Really great advice to make his game better, to enjoy the game as well. One of the biggest things that I told him, I said, when you make the game, the story, generate the story, write the story, but also understand that players, they want to have fun, they want to do something goofy, and they're going to jump in on different aspects of the game. And it might be good, it might be bad. What I mean about that sometimes players have a tendency of taking things and utilizing it to make their cause better. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's say there's a scenario where we go into town, we have written in the story that there is a bunch of lizard folk that, abducted the children in the village. Well, guess what? Now, players are like, yeah, that's a great, they're heroes, and in your mind, you have written that this group are a bunch of heroes. Not doing the sessions, not really communicating with your players. So you think that everyone's going to have a grandiose time, when in fact it's the other way around, because DM is going to have extraordinary issues with that, and also the players are going to have they're not going to have a good time, because in a story where you want things to go perfect, not everything's perfect. This is not a cookie cutter story. Your story might have holes. The players are there to have fun, and so are you. So what you want to do is write the story, but leave it open-ended. Leave holes in your story. Understand that your story has a way of progressing where the players grab on to those little story hooks and they move along with your story. Don't force your story. Let them be the story. And I think most DMs that are brand new are going to find a lot of issues with that, because players, the group in general, they like to, they want to be the highlight. They want to do things that are extremely big, and sometimes when that happens, that is awesome. But when you're starting as a fresh DM, sometimes things like that don't work out the way you want it to work out. Maybe the problem is when you have a story that tight and it's not open-ended, the people, your players in your game, are going to run over everything. They're going to destroy everything that you have written. And they're going to do whatever they want. And when it's not open-ended, that's what happens. You need to say, okay, your story is in town. The lizard folk abducted the children. Guess what? They need to be there. The heroes heard of that. There's a lot of silver. There's money to be made in a situation where the group of adventurers have to. There's got to be a connection. There's got to be a way to make those things right. To make it right for the village. Bring back those children. Understand that whatever happens, that everything from this point until getting to the end of your story, that the adventurers know there are consequences, know that there are stakes. They understand that, yes, they have to save that town. Or maybe they don't want to. Maybe they want to move forward. Bring them. Hook them. Make them want to do it. I'm not saying that you're going to railroad them. You're going to control every aspect of their decision making. No. Give them a reason to help that village, that town, whatever. Give them a reason. Most brand new GMs are worried about, the game mechanics, worried about certain aspects of their combat. And they're very warranted to do that. It's warranted to say, hey, look, I have to worry about my combat. I have to worry about my creatures. Make sure that everything flows. Yes, that's all important. But ultimately, if your story doesn't bring the party, doesn't draw them in, there's going to be problems. And the way to alleviate that is to make sure that there are stakes, there is danger, there is something that the players in your game can grab onto and say, you know what? I'm going to do this. Maybe the player isn't the hero. Maybe the player wants to go into town and just, drink some ale and maybe help some people. Maybe. There are people like that. There are players like that. There's groups of adventurers that are not going to adventure. They want to chill out in a village. They want to go from town to town or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that. But make your story tight. But also understand that when you creating the story. If your story is about the lizard folk and the villagers and the children are abducted by these the lizard folk, why? Bring the stakes, and then bring extreme danger to that. If that's the only thing you have, then when they go off, also let them enjoy the environment, the creatures, the five senses. Let them understand what they're seeing, understand what they're feeling. Understand that if this village, these children are not brought back, the head wizard in the village might do something, might create a ritual, might conjure something that might change the dynamic of this little threat. It might be nothing. It might be, well, sometimes you're going to have to think out of the box. Sometimes you may not have anything. Sometimes your story is about that, and then the players create something different, and that takes a backlog. There's nothing wrong with that. Well, me and my friends, we talked about the my buddy's first time DMing, and we all talked about it together, and he said we needed to help him on certain things. But ultimately, as I called him today, we were talking about creatures and what he's going to do with things, and I thought, hey, the story's pretty cool, and things are going to flow. But I did tell him that, again, bring the stakes up. Don't go out and, if you're going to create imagery, let them feel that situation. Let them see it for themselves. And he's worried about perception checks and different things. And I told him, just go with the flow. And I asked him, do you know people that you're playing with? Or are you just going to sit down for the first time and not know people in the game? He said, yeah, he knows them. But they're not really tight, but he does know them. And I think that's pretty cool. But he was saying, well, for example, he's going to use goblins. Now let's take a look at the goblin stats. Let me go look this up real quick. Give me 1 second as I go in the monster manual. See, I clicked on gargoyle. I want to click on gargoyle. All right. Goblins. Here we go. All right. I told them goblins. I told them that they have one action, one attack, because he's starting the party at levels 2, I think, 2 or 3. So he's using goblins as one of his creature base, and I said, all right, cool. Goblins are awesome. Just look at the stats, but don't go into your first time writing every little stat and what they got. Just kind of look at it and say, okay, he has 1 attack, roll, do your modifier, and go from there, hit points and stuff. And armor class, if he has any armor. If not, then it's whatever. But don't go into writing every little thing about the creature, because what's going to happen is the group is going to see that there's a problem. But the thing about being a fresh DM is if you tell the party, the group, say, hey, look, I'm new, I'm doing my best here. Here we go. Help me out. And that's great because if you have new members in the group as well, everybody's going to learn and everybody's going to have a good time. And the best thing to do, for example, Goblin, put your hit points, the modifier, the attack modifier, and go from there. Roll 20-sided, if it's a +2, +1, whatever, add, describe the scene, there you go. You know, everything else, just set that aside. Keep it simple, stupid. I didn't call him stupid. I just said it's a saying. So you know, keep it simple, stupid. And I use that a lot because you don't want to go ahead and write a whole stat block completely for each creature because it's going to make your work as DM big. Oh, okay. Well, instead of having a sheet or a little clipboard like I have with your creatures, you're going to have pages of creature 1, creature 2. It's going to be crazy. He took good notes, he said, and did a lot of reading. I advised for him to look up the DM's guide, Dungeon Master Guide. It was awesome for 2014. And I also said to look at the player's manual as well, and then take a glance at the last 2014. Look at what they got, understand the CR rating, and stuff like that. That's all gobbledygook, believe it or not, because all that stuff matters. It does. Does it really? Because ultimately, if you don't have the story right from the beginning, where it flows, where the party walked into town, and they heard of children being abducted by the evil lizard folk race. 10 of them. They're in the caves, not too far from in the north. They're at the tavern, they heard a bunch of things, and now, what are they going to do? They make a decision. Are they going to go? Are they going to move? Are they going to head into the cave and rescue those abducted children? That's really up to players in the party. It's up to them. And do not make it where it's DM versus the group. No. As a whole, you're the storyteller. You're the game master. You're the DM. You're the one behind the screen. You tell the story. But let the party, players, become part of the story. Become the highlight of the story. Let them be the hero they want. Or not, in some cases. Let them tell the middle of the story, ending the story. Well, your story is hanging, and it comes down like rain. It washes over. Let the story progress. Let them know what's happening, why it's happening. Are we just traversing from one town to another? Are we there for a reason? Or is this just a money grab? What are the secrets in the cave? Are they secrets? Why is it the lizard folk abducting children? Is there a nefarious individual in the backdrop? Those are the things that you, as a DM, are responsible. Because when the player asks, why are we here? Why are we doing this? You have to know. Don't just scratch your head and say, You're here because back in my day, things that make you go, hmm. So back in my day, you would say stuff like that. And that's a situation where you would be like, because I don't know what I'm doing as a player. You know, as a DM, you are the one that's guiding them. You're the one that's showing them. Make sure it was good streaming wise. Checking my levels. Yes, yes, yes. It was healthy. You're the one that has to show them that light. Yeah. If a player wants to role play his ass off in the tavern and make a grandiose speech, let them do it. Granted, have a funny situation where people are clapping, or have them make a performance. Charismatically, is that class, that player, going to do an awesome job? Is he going to tell everyone in his party, hey, look at me, look who I am, I'm a thespian? But yeah, those are the biggest challenges that DMs have. And the main challenge is when you have a story, you write, you prep, you write A to Z, and the players go around what you wrote. That's the biggest downfall. That's the biggest hurt marker. That's the biggest damage that you can do to your campaign or one shot. Because players want to have fun as much as you do as DM. When you write a story that's really tight, they gotta go on path A no matter what. And they suddenly go, we're not going on path A. Not now. It's supposed to be a night battle. You ran into the werewolves, or the pack of wolves, or the orcs. So whatever it is that happens, you have to make sure as a DM that you are the light. You describe the scene, tell the story, but let them move. They're the cogs. You're the one that's the center of that cog. You're the one that turns the story. But they're the smaller cogs. Those little pieces that make things flow, that make things fast, that move from one part of the story to another. Now, sometimes those pieces break off. Sometimes things fall apart. And it happens even to the most experienced. Yeah, because players do things off the wall. Oh wait, I've got this really cool ability that's going to cause me to jump at high altitudes and jump right and then land and be out of the attack range of the enemy. So you're doing this leap and jump. Talking about a monk. You're going to jump from one area to another with incredible speed, incredible power, and now your big bad is going, oh, what should I do? I can't hit them. I can't do anything. So now you have the problem. Where? What? Not where. What should you do then? Or in your party, one party member decides, I'm not going to go along with this story. I'm not going to go along. Why should I care about the lizard folk? Why should I care about the villagers? I'm going to move on. So now you have 5 party members, and 1 decides to trail off. Then what? Should you have a band of lizard folk? Maybe ambush them? That's what I would do. Ambush. That's hero. It's going off on his own. Or maybe he goes off on his own and finds a path. Realizes, oh, how do I get in the forest? And he goes to look for his friends. Oh, I'm going back now. I think I made a mistake. And as he tries to go back, everything around him is lost. He makes a survival check. He makes it. He's good. He realizes that he knows where to go. It is south. He went north. So he goes south. And all of a sudden, he sees the village in the distance. His friends are no longer there. They are venturing out or in the caves. But as he tries to look for villagers to get information on his friends, he understands that his friends wanted to go on that mission for the villagers to save the children. So he realizes, okay, well, I didn't get the memo on where they went. So he tries to get that information, and the rest of the villagers are dead. They're dead. Every single one. Arrows stuck in their chest, their head, their eye sockets, blood all over. So he looks around. Remember, you have 5 in your party you started with. The lizard folk abducted the children. They went into the cave. The 5 party members, all of them went, yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to save the children. 4 of them went. The 5th one's like, number 5 goes, nope, I don't want to do it. He goes off on his own, goes into the forest, does a little bit of decision making. He says, oh, I'm lost. I want to go back. Takes a survival roll. He finds his way back to the village, and he realizes, oh, his friends left. They took the adventure. They took for the villagers. Save the children. They're going to get paid good money, good silver. And he realizes everybody's dead in the village. My friends are in danger. Bingo. Alas, you have a hook. That one that trailed off is going to go to his friends. They are a party, aren't they? The way to bring that player in is, oh, I went on my own to do a little bit of investigating and realized, oh shit, everybody left me, but everybody in the village is dead. Then he looks in the distance and he sees more lizard folk coming. And they're overwhelming you. There is more than 5. He glances briefly and he sees 20 of them, maybe. But notices there's too much, but he has to warn his party, his friends. So he goes into the cave. Or maybe he doesn't have that information. I did say that. The player doesn't have that information. He needs that information. Where did his friends go? He understood that they went somewhere. But he finds a villager that's maybe alive. He tries to gather that information from him. On his dying breath, the villager says, he went to the cave. I'm sorry. And as he gives his dying breath, he's going to say something else that's important. He makes a perception roll and realizes that he rolled badly. He couldn't understand what he said. So the villager died. But what he does, quickly, because the lizard folk are going to overwhelm the whole village, he decides to go back in the cave. He's going right in the cave where his friends were, where he was told by the villager. So he's running. to warn his friends that, hey, something is happening. These guys are coming in and they're going to slaughter everyone. Or they did already. They all died. So what's going to happen? How are they going to handle it? How is he going to handle it? So all this is going on in his head, and he runs into, hey, does perception roll? Investigation, trying to figure out, oh, wait a second. As a new DM, you look at your abilities, survival, tracking. Survival is part of tracking. So he's not a ranger, but he's going to try to do a survival check. Having nothing in survival is going to roll the ability. Instead, he rolls and gets a decent roll. He ends up fighting his friends, and he tells them, hey, everything will happen. Tells them everything. Then the party, the group, finds that, wait a second, there's no children here. There's something wrong. So now the story is changing. From where the children were abducted, you feel sorry for the villagers. They went in, they realize that there are no children here. Where did the children go? So as they investigate, they look around and they realize something's got to get done. So they realize, wait, there's a ritual of some kind. There's a circle in the center of the cave. The 5 party members, one of them is a magic user. Let's say sorcerer. Not a wizard. A sorcerer. The sorcerer is like, well, there's a ritual that's going to be performed here. He rolls arcane. Makes a roll, says, yeah, there was a ritual enacted here or some kind. And they realize, oh man, the children are all there. Every single one of them. They realize that there's blood in the circle. And they see clothes that came from children. They investigate further, and lizard folk weren't the ones that took the children. So they're looking. They investigate further, and they go deeper into the cave and realize that in the cave, this ritual belonged to a cult. Yes, a very devious cult. And they believe in sadistic necromancy. See how the story is changing? It goes from something simplistic to a very devious, darker, deeper story. And the stakes are up because now you have a group, overwhelmingly, maybe 10, 15 or more, group of lizard folk with weapons coming into town. The player that tracked off in the beginning told them, hey, the villagers are dead, they have arrows in their chest and eye sockets, whatever, they're bleeding. But he saw the lizard folk coming. They had weapons in their hands. Obviously, they're going to protect themselves. But are the lizard folk the ones that abducted the children and killed the villagers? Maybe they're the ones that are caught in between cult villagers and whatever dark secret lies within the cave. Because now they're vested. Now they're like, oh shit, what are we going to do? How are we going to find out the secret, this situation? How are we going to find out? How are we get ourselves out of this situation? Then they realize that this ritual, sorcerer tells his party, this ritual has been enacted long ago. The blood isn't fresh. And you're like, oh, we saw blood. When you come into a blood splatter in a circle of a ritual, it's going to be shocking because you're going to see blood, you're going to see the circle, you're going to see all like creepy stuff that makes you unnerving. So now you're going to look at it and you're going to say, this is kind of weird. But before, I kind of like where this story's going. Maybe I should write it down. But anyways, the whole point I'm trying to make is when you have a direction, you write the story. Cult, make a story bubble. Cult, lizard folk, villagers, write down your notes. Then write down the things that the players, the party might see or don't see, whatever. Write it down note-wise. Then write the story. But your notes are important because if they branch off out of it, there's also other things you've written in your notes, other goals. The what ifs. That's what I do. Because if they go and investigate this situation further, then you hook, line, and sinker. You got it. But if they don't, that's where the problem lies. You're going to have to bring them back in again. You did it before, but now you're going to have to really create tension. That comes with experience. Anyways, I want to give my buddy big thumbs up for attempting to DM. Sometimes it can be stressful. Sometimes it's going to be a little nervous. And that happens if you don't like talking to people or if you're not comfortable doing stuff like that. That's the beginning. Remember my beginning. My beginning was terrifying. So I understand what he's going through, and hopefully my insight, my little tidbits helped, and hopefully my friends as well that helped him gave him enough information so he could use. Oh, I have to yawn. Oh, excuse me. So when everything's said and done, he can use everybody's information and say, oh, Henry said this, Tim said this, Jeremy said this. So anyways, you can use all of that. And then when you read the rules and how to do a story, how to make a story, how to create plot lines and so forth, whatever it is, you are soaking everything in and then write it down in your notes or whatever and say, you know what? I think this is going to go well. And now I'm prepared. Speaking of preparation, over prepping, man. Over prepping is not a good thing. And sometimes I have fault in over prepping. And that is sometimes very noticeable and sometimes it's not. I love to make characters. So I have a lot of NPCs in my backlog, and I use them in my stories in my game. And if you're first starting out, when you're using an NPC, like I told my buddy, I said, have your NPC. Here's a scenario. Maybe they're in a cell or captured, and the corner, you see somebody cowering in the corner. You see half his body is uncomfortable. He's a man. He's got a long gray beard, long gray hair, and you can hear the cracking of a bone because he's been sitting in one position for a long time. One of the party members addresses him. He says, "My name is Banks, and I've been here for over a decade." He's skinny, shaking. He says, "I know the ins and outs of this prison." So now you have an NPC that potentially opens your story. And an example of players going all over the place, you can look at my recent stream D&D one shot that I did. They were in an arena type scenario, and my buddy George, what did he do? Oh, they're in chains and they're ready to go out in chains. Like he sees four guards, and they're looking at them, but the chains are hooked up into this cog symbol, this pulley and Yumi structure. So when everybody goes out, everybody goes forward, but they're all chained up. They're 3 feet apart, 4 feet apart. Their wrists are chained up, their ankles are chained up, and they go into the arena. They're looking at inside the arena like, oh my gosh, there's an ogre, the hill giant and displacer beast. Then you have a whole bunch of NPCs out there trying to fight this big hill giant. And I think I scared them where the hill giant takes its huge club with spikes and smashes it into one of the bodies of one of the humans that went out there to fight it. And, excuse me, that eye is bothering me. He smashes the spiked club into the body of the individual, and the first thing he sees is the body being thrown by the hill giant just by smashing his club into it. And that scared him, I guess. And you're like, no, we're not going out there. We're going to try to take care of these guards. So instead of having like a combat scenario, they went into their own little scenario. Let's break out of the arena. And let me tell you, they did a pretty good job. And they went underneath the seats of the arena, just the whole Coliseum itself. So they're going underneath, and they see a very enlarged creature with a multitude of heads, a goat, a lion head, and this creature has wings and so forth. So they're like, man, this creature is powerful, but he's caged, chained around his neck, his wrists, by its paw region. You know, it's pretty secure. But they're like tiptoeing. They don't want to wake it up because it's sleeping. But anyways, that's what I mean about players going around and doing their own thing. And I wish my friend all the best. Oh, jeez. Excuse me. Yawning. I wish my friend all the best, because a situation like that is huge. When party members shift the story and they go their own way, and sometimes you're going to have to think out of the box, create something. That's why when I write something, I write those storyboards. Okay, I'll read them. Possible scenarios for them to leave you, stuff like that. Or mental note, meaning mental note, you gotta do things ad lib. You're gonna do it out of the box, Sometimes you don't have time to look at your notes. because it's happening so quickly in real time. That being said, let's talk about miniatures. I always want to talk about miniatures because miniatures are very cool. I had another friend of mine who made this. He's really talented, and I have to admit, not bad, huh? Let's get a better shot. Today, I know I brought up the dragon last time. But this is the turtle, and I had a scenario in campaign 2, no, campaign 1, where I wanted goblins to ride a turtle with spikes, and this is what he made. I had the goblins on the turtle, and it's cool. So, miniatures, man, miniatures are cool, but it's not theater of the mind. Theater of the mind, sometimes you throw pictures, but there's nothing wrong with using minis to give you a beautiful look, 3D look at what's happening in combat. Nothing wrong with miniatures, guys. I love using them, it's great, and they're a lot of fun. They don't animate, I just say it's a lot of fun playing with them. Especially when you have a scenario where everyone in your party is going to have this huge combat, and it's cool to see miniatures in that scenario. Open talk, I'm going to have we might have a couple more open talks, maybe less. But I do like talking about different things because it breaks the monotony of, oh, we're going to do another creature, and there's nothing wrong with it. We are talking about creatures, though. This is a very different manner, talking about your setting in a campaign, one-shot story, what happens if the players go out of track of your story, and ultimately, when something like that happens, it happens. Here, you know what? Out of all the creatures here, let's take a look. We have this list of really cool creatures. And you have this list of really bad creatures. Excuse me. Jeez, sorry. So you have a list of really cool creatures and really bad creatures. I'm trying to look for a bad creature. Well, there's a lot. Trust me, there's a lot of bad creatures in here. So nope. Let's take a look at the lizard folk. Lizard folk can hold their breath for days. That's pretty cool. They're draconic, obviously. They're a force to be reckoned with. You got 10 lizard folk, and they described in that little scenario, that would have been deadly. Their attack is +4 to hit. They got a bite, they got a multi-attack. They got a bite, a heavy club, and a javelin. Dang. So, you can make 2 attacks, one with a bite and one with its claws. Or, if you want to use his weapons, because he has a heavy club and javelin and spiked shield. So that's pretty cool to do. All right, they got the Lizard Queen. So if you want to throw that in there, you know, Dragon Worshiper. So again, in that scenario, I had the cultist. So maybe the lizard people were the race that that fell into this diabolical plan from the cultists. But they're chaotic evil anyway. So there's going to be a lot of holes in that story already. But kind of tweak it up. See what's good and what's bad about it. And they got a whole community on this book. Shaman, Eater. Yeah. Freaking cool. I like it. How's everyone doing this evening? Doing fine. I'm a little tired. I did yawn a couple times. But in the end, I wanted to give a big shout out to Tim Matthews. Thank you very much for his support, ongoing support on Patreon, and supporting the stream, supporting things that are happening in this game, in this stream that I have, or two. Let's take a look at what's happening in the future. I did mention in the beginning, I'm going to go to Cyberpunk Red. Cyberpunk Red is a world it's based on Night City. Night City is a very dangerous city. It's not Dungeons and Dragons where you have a crap load of hit points. You got this armor that's going to block all damage. No, you literally can die within 1 round combat. What do I mean by that? That's simple. 1 round of combat meaning if your opponent or the bad guy does a drop on you and he hits you, it's going to hurt. And then a lot of damage. See, the thing is, this game is based off of the near future, real life, stuff like that. Almost real life. Cybernetics in that extreme doesn't exist yet. I'm sure it does. We're not seeing it now. But if someone had a lot of cybernetics, Kevlar armor, for example, and things like that, your reaction, and as soon as you draw your weapon to go fire at the individual, you hit or miss, and if you do hit within range, you do a lot of damage, you go through that armor, and boom, that individual will die. It happens quick, it happens fast, because this game is going to be deadly. So more to come on that. I'm excited about it. Those of you who played video game Cyberpunk 2077 and so forth, not a video game, but the tabletop version is really good. I played the 2020 version of Cyberpunk and it's really good. And this is a later version of it, which is awesome. I'm very, very psyched about it. So stay with us in the stream. We have a lot going on, and things are going to continue with Vampire tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central. Check us out. Now, I hope you enjoyed an episode of Open Talk. That's all I have for you. I was talking about, the things about DMing and so forth, talking about my buddy, how he's going to structure things or try to structure things. And hopefully he does well. I'm very optimistic about it. I think, I asked him about his group, and he said he knows them. So that's a plus right there. Knowing is half the battle. You know people in the party who all could have fun together, and you tell them, hey, I'm a new DM. They're going to be like, okay, we're going to do this together. That's half the battle. It's having fun, doing things together, enjoying those 4 hours or 2 hours of that one shot. Because once you do that, it'll make him feel better, and then the players will have fun too. At the end, you can say, hey man, You gotta brush up on this or do this, you know, and that comes with experience. So I wish them all the best. I will see you guys tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central. Thank you for watching.